Hello, welcome to another Beyond All Reason on the Fly replay analysis. I am your host, Zateo, and today we're going to be doing a review for Father Time, playing as our dark pink player on the front lines here. Let's get into it. Let's see some stuff. Alright, let's see what's going on here. Looks like 3 mechs opener and 3 wind turbine after that into probably a lab. Speed up a little bit. It's a low OS kind of game. Alright, so quick scout coming out. Actually, looks like 3. Just looking around. See a tick. You're probably busy microing right now, but yeah, when your energy dips down to 0, you want to stop boosting and try to add on some more energy. Yeah, the sooner you add on that energy, the faster you build up, so you can crank those units out. Alright, so now you got a constructor assisting, another constructor probably coming out to grab some mexes. A little bit of idle time on your commander. Not too big of a deal, but little bits here and there will add up. Alright, so yeah, grabbing some mexes. By the way, this light laser tower is not really necessary until you move your commander out, because the commander can pretty much defend all this stuff. Now also notice the placement is right by all these wind turbines, so it actually won't be able to fire across this line here because the wind turbines are taller than where the laser comes out of. So it only really protects, like, this area here, just FYI. So a little bit of rearranging, like where you build stuff, can help you out a little bit here. If you were to build, like, say, the wind turbines back here, then the light laser tower, would be able to hit like all these different directions, just not where the wind turbines are. So just something to note. Same thing with the commander. The commander can't attack over those wind turbines. Pretty much nothing can unless it's a high trajectory kind of weapon. But yeah, minor little thing to point out here. Let's see, so commander moving up. Okay, good stuff. Looks like he cranked out a construction turret. I think you, sorry, I didn't pause when you built this, but I think your energy was a little bit low for that, so I would maybe add on a few more wind turbines first, and then get this construction turret, and then move out, or get the construction turret. Okay, let me rephrase all this. All right, so after your lab, add on wind turbines as necessary for your energy. I think you probably already know that, and it was probably just a minor mistake. And then when your energy is good, like built up a little bit, then you can add on the construction turret, then put the light laser tower down, and then move out after the light laser tower. And then yeah, maybe placing these initial wind turbines back here instead will help you. It'll help this light laser tower actually be able to reach a lot more. You could put the tower maybe up here, and then just put like the wind turbines back here. The same thing kind of applies though, where if something does get all the way in the back, then it becomes kind of a hassle too. So just something to think about is just like where to place that down. All right, so you got your constructor coming out. Let's grab some mexes. Commander is okay. So commander's walking just all the way to the front, skipping all the mexes. It's something I don't mind. I feel like it's helpful to get some extra mexes and just have your commander build a couple of them as he's walking out, like the ones that are basically right next to him. But that will delay how fast you get to the front here, so I mean it is a give or take. Brown here has a nice forward position with his commander, so that's nice. And then yeah, the very important mex is this 3.2, because obviously it's like almost double. Good, you're getting a radar. I would have maybe liked to see the radar a little bit sooner, like up here, just because these hills block it anyways. And it's kind of, I mean, it is kind of nice to see all the way back here, but at the same time, while you move out, before you even get to this position, you might want a radar to be able to just see if there's anything here. Now, obviously, you have like your rovers and stuff scene for you already. So it's not really that necessary, but um, you know, just the sooner you put that down, the more you can judge and figure out, how deep can you go. Looking back at base, okay, so you just added on some wind turbines. I wouldn't mind seeing another constructor come out just to start eating some of this metal on the side. And then it could also help build some of these mexes out here. Alright, first little engagements. Yeah, all these pawns kind of suiciding on your units here. Here I'll note that this is maybe a little too much. When, you have this radar here, so you know that there's nothing, basically all the way down there. I wouldn't mind seeing like a light laser tower and then just moving up, grabbing this right away, and then starting to like just have this. That little bit of extra, well, actually it's quite a bit of extra metal from these two mexes here can help a lot. Just being able to crank out more units, always a good thing. And then with that you can get like, another constructor, maybe getting some more wind turbines going as well as cranking out some units faster. And that'll just help you get more units like in the long term. Because these units right now, like they're good to have, but at the same time, you don't really have an opponent here at the moment, so you could actually get away with greeding a little bit harder, and just like getting another constructor out to start building on some stuff. Also, I'm noticing that your metal's starting to rise a little bit. I mean, I guess you're using it, but at the same time, it's okay. So you're adding on another nano in a minute here. See 3 light laser towers here. Yeah, considering you don't have too much opposing you at the moment, I would grab this mechs maybe after just one. Just to have it a little bit sooner. That little bit of extra metal is kind of a big deal. Alright, so here, you're actually seeing what your opponent's actually up to here. So they got this T2 lab trying to be built, and this is a huge mistake by them. So anything you can do to punish this is going to be really good. Now, obviously, there's a commander here, so there's only so much Blitz can do. Like tanks are pretty easily, or I should say, vehicles are pretty easily degunned, just because they can't turn and avoid it. So it's really easy to lose stuff due to that. Let's see. Okay, so you're just going to run around. So you killed the nano. So you're going to take the lab out. So that's already you saw that it was like 700 metal. That was put into that lab base, or that lab and the nano together. So already a nice exchange here by you. Granted that these blitzes all together, you see at the bottom left here, is about 1,000 metal. So you're basically running these blitzes in to do some damage at the expense of 1,000 metal. So you need to get like 1,000 metal worth of damage. And already you got like 600 or 700. Actually, well, I mean, with the blitz losses, it's this amounts. Just FYI, this is a widget that I use to kind of gauge. What it does is basically like in this area around where this number is, it basically tallies up the metal gained and lost. Gains being when you destroy something, it goes up, and then when you lose something, it goes down, depending on the metal cost of what's destroyed. So you're up, almost 700 metal here. So that's quite good. And then you even have these guys past the commander, so these guys can potentially do some economic damage in the back. So this is a good play by you. You find some wind turbines, or not wind turbines, solar collectors. Yeah, and the numbers jumping around a little bit. All right, so now at the end here you get another 600. So that's basically trading, about 1,000 metal and then gaining about 12,000. So this number does not include wrecks and like losses from losing mexes and losing solar and stuff like that. So take that as you will. But basically, you donated some metal here with these wrecks, but also did some nice damage. So it's going to take them a while to rebuild. So I'd say that that's pretty worth it, even if the numbers aren't necessarily. It's only, if you think about the numbers, it's like 200 metal up, but then you have to think about the wrecks, you know, so it's like not really because they can just eat that metal. But then it's like, well, you did do some economic damage, so they're losing out on that. So I mean, this number is not a complete number, is I guess the takeaway here. Anyways, yeah, it just looks like you're moving up a little bit. Okay, so you see some shurikens, and immediately start an anti-air, so that's good. Glad to see it. And these blitzes and pawns can't really do too much because of your commander and because of the towers here. But yeah, it looks like medium tanks show up, so kind of hard there. You could potentially just degun these tanks. Medium tanks are notorious for being very easy to degun because they turn around so slowly, especially in this like narrow space here. It's really hard for them to like get away properly. But it looks like for now you just kind of fall back a little bit. Got another line of defense, so it's, you know, totally fine. And you got a lot of blitzes running around. Now these blitzes aren't necessarily going to do too well against, you know, medium tanks, but you have quite a few of them, so you could actually destroy this. Looks like you're swinging around with the blitzes. Now, so this I can understand because blitzes, like, you know, again, they're not going to do too well against this, and so it's sort of like, you know, trying to find value with them. You're moving them around to maybe sneak in again. Now you did see some shurikens, you know, so that's kind of you know, cause for concern. I don't think this is going to really pan out because of those. And instead, I would actually say to maybe engage here, because if you, you know, basically your army is much more expensive, or sorry, not much more expensive. You just have more units here, so you can actually take out those units that were down here because there's only like 4 tanks. And then your commander is right here, so you could actually just eat up that metal, and you could have a nice forward position out here, basically. So yeah, I would actually just keep pushing down here, and then, you know, have some anti-air and stuff. I mean, the commander itself is pretty good against shurikens, so there's that too. Yeah, it looks like you're trying to trying to squeeze through here. A little bit of AFK here, unfortunately, so you're gonna lose some of those. Okay. So yeah, definitely not nearly as worth it in this case. Now, if you felt like you could not push here, the other thing you can do is just reclaim the blitzes. When you reclaim something, you get 100% of the metal back. So you can just put that metal into like medium tanks or something like that. Which, by the way, I'm very glad to see that you are switching to medium tanks here, because the blitzes are going to start losing value. But yeah, I mean, you could just take this position here. I think, you know, there's only 4 dots out here, and actually, why don't we just like cheat a little bit and take a look? Yeah, and these 4 dots are buildings. So it's really just these pawns, which you don't see on radar. And there's a commander back here somewhere, and you know that, but you know, you can actually press forward here, I guess is the point. Let's go back to your view. All right, really quick here, I want to look back at your base. All right, cool. So you're adding on some solar collectors, some advanced ones. You added on some more build power to use your metal, and this all looks pretty good. And then also you have taken a lot of these mexes. You have, I guess he's just rallied back. There are these bits of metal from these rocks that you could reclaim, by the way. Just you know, little bits of metal to help you out to get more units. But yeah, given that's like, there's really not that much here. And, you know, you did see some medium tanks and whatnot, but you can degun those and you can fight those with your medium tanks. You know, so one of the biggest things that's maybe keeping you back here is the air. So I would consider maybe 1 nettle, or maybe even, you know, adding a few whistlers. Okay, so you're actually doing that too. Never mind. But yeah, you're adding on some energy, so that's good because you're going to need it once you get T2. T2 is on the way from red. You do have this nice forward radar. By the way, I should probably point this out. So when it comes to build power and build radius, I guess, I mean, I don't know if this is showing up on yours, but it's kind of a long reach, right? You know, it has like this kind of radius. Um, you can actually like put your commander, like order him to like move right up against the cliff, and actually put a radar on the cliff. And that way, in fact, why don't we go to the movements thing here? So everything in purple is not passable and not buildable. So if you put it like if your commander was here, I think it would just be able to reach this this radar spot here. So I'm pretty sure you can place them on these hills. I know you can at some points for sure. It's just a matter of like, you know, how close you actually need to be. But yeah, a higher up radar, you know, won't get blocked by these hills here. You know, so your coverage is very limited because of those hills or mountains, as they say. All right, so now you're pushing up. Yep, definitely wouldn't mind a radar just like in this zone here, just to see this way. Okay, so you pull back actually right when you needed to. Commander could actually just degun those, especially when they're all together like that. But yeah, it is kind of risky and it takes a little practice. But to me, that's definitely something worth practicing. Nice little bit of wall here. Let's see, what's your base doing? Okay, so you're starting to grab a T2 lab. So this is something that I see in these lower levels quite often. Is, you know, it's just something that you do, is you build a lab and you know, do it yourself. But I would highly recommend buying a T2 builder from somebody first, because it's kind of hard to build this lab on T1 mexes. And, you know, instead of paying for, let's see, how much is it? Yeah, so it's like 3,000 metal basically for a T2 vehicle lab for Armada. You know, so it's kind of expensive, whereas the builder itself is only like a, you know, if you bought one, let's go to Red's view so we can click on this. Yeah, so if you bought one, it's only 470 metal. And then you could upgrade your like some mexes, get some energy, you know, T2 energy, and then build the lab. And that will just propel you forward. You could also do things like buy a Twitcher. Twitchers can build, you know, some units. They can build fiends and stuff. So I mean, quite nice. Otherwise, you could, you know, if there's a Armada vehicle guy, you can get a console from this guy. Now consoles right now they can build hounds, which are quite good. They definitely are good against pyros or I'm sorry, fiends. In fact, that's something that might be changing in the future because it is kind of OP to just go hounds. Basically, if you have a console or a Twitcher, you know, instead of building the lab right now, you could actually just sell your T1 lab, like reclaim it, and then use that Twitcher to build fiends or use the console to build hounds, you know, near your build power so that you can just crank them out. And hounds are going to be, you know, they basically eat medium tanks because the medium tanks have a hard time dodging the shots and they have far less range, you know, and the hounds have a lot of mobility. Same with the fiends, lots of mobility, much shorter range. So, you know, they're kind of a different thing, but yeah, you could actually do a lot with that. So I'd definitely suggest not building this lab, instead paying Red like, you know, 470 metal-ish to buy a T2 builder. Or you could build, you know, or you could, you know, ask this guy instead to get a builder. And with that builder, you know, you sell the lab and build the mexes first. And if your energy is not too high, like right now, your energy is not too high, like it can't really support T2 at the moment. You know, so you could do something like upgrade these 3 mexes, and then afterwards build a fusion, and then put down the lab. And doing it in that kind of way, like you have, you know, or should have some metal from eating that T1 lab, and you can put it right into these mexes to upgrade them so that you get more metal income, and then use that metal income to get that fusion. And then, you know, with at least 3 of these upgraded, you know, and the fusion, you could basically start pumping out some T2 units with the lab, or with a hound, or, you know, or I'm sorry, a console or a switcher or something like that. And then, you know, after these 3 are upgraded, then you have a fusion. You can start working on upgrading some of these other mexes out here. At least that's like more or less the usual thing. Because yeah, building the lab yourself just takes a long time and a lot of money. And, you know, so it's kind of delaying yourself in a way if you don't do those things. Looks like you're just walling in a bit more. Protect your forward position. I would say it's a bit much though. I mean, this is just kind of a lot of laser towers. Alright, so you're getting poked on the side here. Oh, tank comes in from the bottom. Kind of a funny thing. Okay, good. You're moving your commander back. That's, of course, very important here. Alright, so they decide to back out. That's a funny scout. But yeah, I would try to grab this mechs a little sooner. Oh, bombers. Yeah, as soon as you see that, you want to maybe put down a medal or 2. Okay, so you got this chainsaw back here, so that's nice. HLT, so this, I would say, isn't terribly necessary. I mean, it's going to be a deterrent more than anything else. Like, HLTs just don't do a lot of damage. The only really nice thing about them is their extra range. And artillery outrange them, like T1 artillery, so like, I would say not the best choice against vehicles. And, you know, it's in such an open spot that it's kind of like, it could very easily just get picked off. And it's kind of expensive for what it is, so I would maybe just not get that. You got plenty of tanks here to defend, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. Let's see, so now your lab's done. Upgrading some mexes. Okay, you have a lot of metal stored up. I'm not sure what caused that, but I mean, I don't know if it was just like idle time with the lab once it was built. Yeah, so your metal is draining, but usually if you have to, if you have time, you know, I would suggest, like, after you build the lab and get your constructor out, this is like if you have to build it yourself. Like, ideally, of course, again, it's better to buy it. But if you do need to build it yourself, usually it's the kind of thing where you could put down like a metal storage, like a T1 metal storage with these builders, after you get the constructor. And with that storage, you can eat this, you can reclaim the T2 lab to get metal to put into these mexes faster. But yeah, at this time you have so much metal that you don't really need to. So it's kind of fine that you're doing that, but it's good that you have this idle right now, because you do not need, you know, you can't really afford the units out of it at the moment. Okay, well, you're starting to build out of it. I mean, Mausers are pretty cheap, so I can understand that. Oh, I was looking at the wrong view, so that actually wasn't your metal. So I guess I don't really know what your metal was like. Let's see, so you got all 3 of these upgraded. Yeah, so this is something I see pretty common, is people go straight to upgrading more mexes. This one's pretty close, so like I don't mind you grabbing this one before a fusion. But I would say before your 5th one for sure, because it's further away and whatnot, I would go for that fusion. I mean, I suppose there is quite a bit of overflow as well, so I guess it's fine. I guess I'm just thinking from my experience, like, you know, I play in higher OS lobbies, and People don't usually overflow very much, so oftentimes I'll need a fusion around now. So maybe it's totally fine in this scenario to not build that. Alright, so big push coming from them down the middle here. Looks like a lot of medium tanks, so it's nothing too worrying. You have to like kill all your pork first. So this is good that you're backing up, you're not like sacrificing any units. Yeah, definitely get these guys out of that range of, I think that's probably an agitator. But yeah, the walls were good, just blocking this off so that it makes it annoying for them to have to, spend the APM to break it all down. Here's some more HLTs that you're building. I don't know if I really, I suppose it's okay. In this spot, like, it's okay because, like, you're up against medium tanks, and you only have so many units here because you went T2 and all that. So, since you have just a few less tanks, them pushing down here with their tanks, if you only had tanks, they could potentially crush it. So putting these here makes it so that not only do they have to fight your army, they also have to take damage on their way in. So I don't mind 1 or 2 here, I suppose. This one I don't like because it's so easily picked off. But again, it is kind of an investment considering, just a few artillery can actually just take it down. So just something to think about. Yeah, I like the fact that you're adding on some bulls here. Just all this, so much extra energy coming in. Lots of extra metal too, by the way. You're getting some extra from Brimstone because they're unable to spend. Yeah, usually you definitely need a fusion to start spending this quantity of metal. Right, so it looks like you're positioning out here and you just have your towers here to guard this. This, I don't know if I really agree with this. I mean, it's kind of fine to get, I suppose your plan is to just pork this up a little bit, make it hard for them to even think about taking this 3.2. And or make it hard for them to push down to through the mountain here. So you're basically just switching over to this area. That might be meta on this map, I'm not sure. It's been a while since I played this map. But yeah, you're doing a reasonable job here, just sitting out here with your Mausers, taking out some stuff. Hopefully not taking too much damage. It's kind of a lot of Janices. But yeah, you have your bulls out, so like it's not too worrying. Getting that 3.2 upgraded. Very nice. Lots of metal reclaim here. Bit suicidal, so yeah, I don't know if you were looking at this number, but it was like in the thousands for you. And then you lost all the bulls here. So that went all the way down to 300. You still have 1 left here, so that's probably going to go down to 0. So something like this, I don't really agree with because basically, your ally is all the way back here, and so you trying to push in this way right now. I mean, first of all, there's like a lot of pork here, and it's jammed, so it's not like you really know that it's there until you run into it. But you do have an enemy out here too that can easily flank down this way. So any push that you do here is basically, yeah, I guess just to make it a little cleaner, any push that you do down this direction can very easily get sideswiped. While you also, sorry, my words are coming out all weird. While you also are running into whatever resistance you have in this area. So it's just something where you're going to take some losses if you do that. Now obviously you don't really know that this is here because of the jammer, but now that you know that it's here, you can use your Mausers to actually start picking some of this stuff off. Unfortunately though, you are losing all those bulls, So yeah, negative 600. Not to mention all the wrecks that were left behind. So like, it's kind of a big deal. Okay, so here, your Mausers I think are just on A attack or move in or something. Looks like they're on a move order. Usually, you know, you want to try to use that fight command for, especially for things with longer range like Mausers. Because right now, you know, they're just kind of moving into range of all this static defense. And so they're going to easily get picked off here. Mausers don't have a ton of health. They have like 1,000 health. Whereas Bulls have like, you know, several thousand. So usually in this kind of situation, I would recommend having your Mausers back here, hitting the A button. Hitting the A button to bring up, you know, basically you're telling them to attack a position, regardless of what's there. And so you can actually do stuff like, I have to turn off your view to show this, but basically you hit A, and you can either left drag, and sorry, my my circle's a little inverted somehow. I'm not sure what's doing this, but basically you can do something like that. You know, again, this is A button and left drag mouse button, and it'll just start shooting at some of these targets. And that's if you see the target. So in this case, it's jammed. So I would suggest doing the right mouse button instead. So it's A click, right mouse drag, and you can drag like anywhere. So you see all these red dots. You know, it's kind of like the movements drag, where it just you know, spreads it out over the line. But you know that these are here even if you can't see it on the jammer, and so you can actually just like do something like this, or maybe you want to do it a little tighter, because these Mausers actually have a lot more range. They can actually fire all the way back here. So it's a little unfortunate that they're running into, you know, these wardens. You know, the warden range is this you know, highlighted one here. So probably more of a mistake on your end than, you know, something that's you're unaware of. But hopefully that attack grounds like order will help you a bit. Let's put it back on your view. Red's kind of sacrificing some units here to try to take this out. This is kind of a mistake as well. And it looks like your metal's starting to rise a little bit as you've upgraded a lot of these mexes. And I'm really surprised that you don't need a fusion yet, but I suppose overflow is kind of a, it's definitely a thing. Yeah, it's getting a little bit more build power. Looks like you did that with these consoles. Let's see, what's your T2 builder doing? Your T2 is idle at the moment, but yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind you know, placing down some defenses out here. Okay, so now your energy is going down a little bit, as people aren't overflowing as much, I suppose. Are you producing anything else? No, just Mausers and Bulls still. Okay, so yeah, it's just, I guess. Oh, okay, so you are building that fusion now. Yeah, I suppose it's fine that you waited, because there's all that overflow again. So you guys are picking off that pork. Unfortunately, no anti-air here. You're gonna lose these bulls for free. And that was a sniper shot I just heard. It's probably over here somewhere. Yeah, you definitely need that energy. I mean, fusions do cost a lot of energy, so like, it's going to drain as you build in this fusion. If you're going to build something like a fusion, I would suggest maybe just putting this on pause. If you needed the metal, you could reclaim it, but you don't at the moment. You just need the energy, so I'd pause this just so you're not putting a bunch of energy into units. And when you do something like that, you know, basically instead of like pushing pretty hard down this way, you know, try to sit back a little bit, be a little bit more defensive in posture. Because, you know, you don't want to lose those units if you're not producing units. So just trying to defend that way. Snipers must be out here somewhere. Yeah, there's a jammer back here. Oops. Unfortunately, because your fusion, because you had so much energy, you were able to upgrade all these mexes, but now it's like you really need that energy. You can't even afford to really convert it either. Yeah, since your metal is so high and you need the energy so badly, I would skip these converters here. Um, so usually, people say, get something like 1 to 2 converters per fusion. And while that's good, it's sort of like, in this particular case, you have so many mexes upgraded that you straight up just need the energy. You don't really have anything to spare to convert, so um, I would just skip these. And the way that the resources work is basically you gain the resources, so it goes up, and then you spend it after it's gained. So the bar will like wobble back and forth. And that basically just indicates that if it is this low, you basically just need that energy. Because right now you are stalling a little bit. And unfortunately, it looks like you lost all your bulls, so you gotta retreat a bit. So once you start seeing ticks like this, so this flow of ticks is very minimal. And usually that starts getting ramped up a little bit later, or if it's a higher OS lobby, it'll just start with a faster. Oftentimes there'll be a faster trickle of ticks. I would start building some more light laser towers with your commander here, since he's up here already. If you have some builders, like this guy could build, things like Dragon's Claw, could build things like Beamer. Beamers are great against things like ticks and pawns. Dragon Claws are really good as well against them, especially if they start moving into like pawns or grunts or something like that. But just in case, as an insurance thing, because you have a lot of Mausers that aren't going to do so well against things like ticks or pawns. And the heavy laser tower helps a bit, but it's not like gigantic or anything. Looks like there's a catapult out here. Yep, that's a catapult there. Okay, wait, what? Yeah, I'd try to start using the fight command a bit more with your artillery. Because just having them run forward like that, more than most cases, it's not ideal. You'll just get picked off by stuff. So yeah, now that you got your couple of fusions done, yeah, so you have a couple of converters. So the converters really are only helping that secondary one. But either way, you got a nice flow of energy and metal coming in. So now you're able to really crank those units out. If you're going to build Starlights, I would maybe suggest a secondary energy storage. Just because they do take energy to shoot. They take 1,000 energy, which is kind of a lot. So if you're also building a bunch of stuff, like it can drain your energy quite easily, and then all of a sudden they can't shoot because you don't have enough. So having a storage just kind of, makes it so that you have a bit of reserve for your Starlights, basically. Yeah, that's a little bit crazy. I mean, so in these kind of lobbies, I oftentimes see plays like that where it's sort of like, I mean, first of all, I'm glad to see people are aggressive, because sometimes I just straight up don't see aggression at all and it just turns into a pork fest. So I'm very glad to even just see it. But if you are going to be aggressive, I would suggest seeing what's there first. That might mean like poking up with some bulls and stuff. But once you see that it's like kind of a lot there, just pull back, because otherwise you're just kind of gifting it. So every attack like this is just a lot of metal that you're giving to them. Each of these bulls. So a wreck, if it's a full wreck, it'll be I think it's 60% of the metal cost. And for bulls, that leaves 570 metal. So each of these bulls just gifted them 570 metal. Not to mention the cost of losing it. So you actually just also lost this much in that exchange. So it's kind of a lot. It's sort of like if you're going to attack, trying to make sure that it's going to be successful. And if it's not going to be successful, pulling out and minimizing your losses. Because the losses are kind of the big deal because they become metal wrecks. By the way, you have enough metal coming in right now that you could put down, I mean, first of all, you could get a little bit more build power, but you could also put down things like a bot lab, just like a T1 bot lab. Excuse me. If you put down a T1 bot lab, you can do things like spam to support your T2 units, because T2 units don't attack very quickly. So if you know, if you're up against other T2, you can waste a lot of enemy shots. But you know, having them shoot at something cheaper like a tick or a pawn. So with that in mind, like, you know, oftentimes spam is very, very useful. You know, as you get up into higher tiers, like T3 especially, it's sort of like you get this big powerful unit, but then, you know, they can only shoot so fast or they can only do so much, so having something there to absorb some fire is really nice. In this case, you know, just having a lab so that you can get some res bots out is kind of nice too. So that anytime you push up, like for example when your bulls were here, you could send some res bots out here to just start reclaiming this metal. Same thing in this area, like anytime you push up, you could have res bots behind it just eating the metal from the wrecks that are already there. You know, there's 15,000 metal in this large area here, so it's kind of a lot of metal that's is not really being utilized by anybody. So yeah, when you push up, just having res bots behind it is quite nice. Looks like you have some anti-air at this time with your Mausers, and here's the Starlights. So one thing to be very careful of is just the like the facing direction of your Starlights. Same thing with Mausers. So these units, let's see, I have like a special firing arc widget that shows me this, and it's going to be kind of hard to see on probably on the video, but for me, when I hit A, it kind of shows me this arc. It's really hard to see actually, but basically there's a line that's going through this way, and then there's like an arc that shows this. And what this basically means is that you know, the Mauser here can only fire in this direction, this 180 degrees from, you know, side to side. You know, so if it's pointed, you know, if the unit is facing northward, it cannot shoot down. You know, so that's one of the pitfalls of Mausers. Same thing with Starlights. Starlights have 180 degrees as well. So to draw it on this unit, it's, you know, it's like that. So anytime they're facing away, they will not be able to fire. They'll have to like slowly turn around and stuff, and so, you know, it's kind of ideal to try to get them to face a certain direction. So certain movements to help you out with that is really good. So anytime you retreat with Starlights, I guess just to do it this way. So you could do things like move back here, hold shift, and then move like just a little bit forward, and then they'll, you know, run back to those points, and they'll be facing northward, you know, but then you are ordering them to turn around afterwards, basically. And then that way they'll be facing the direction already if some threat comes in. Now these are in range, I believe, of some stuff, maybe not. I was gonna say, I think they're starting to turn around, or maybe they're just bumping into each other. Yeah, a lot of these can't actually attack right now. Back to your view. Yeah, the other thing with spam, you know, if you do that T1, you know, bot lab, and in fact, you could get a couple of them even, and just start spamming ticks and grunts. If you just have them rallied through here, they'll provide vision for your Starlights. You know, and I would usually recommend like a jammer slash radar, just the mobile versions. You know, all your, you know, each T2 lab can build one. So you have your mobile radar and your mobile jammer. Now obviously the radar is not going to be a huge deal here because they're jammed, but they do have a nice line of sight as well, so you can actually see a bit further um, than where you can actually see right now. And then the jammer just prevents it for, prevent things from locking onto these units. So that a jammer I would highly recommend. But yeah, the spam also, like after you get into higher OS, people use Junos a lot more often. And, Junos of course destroy radar and jammers and ticks and stuff. So in that case, you want to, of course, spam something like pawns. But what was I saying? Oh, and so to get that vision, because the radar, the mobile radar and the mobile jammer will get destroyed as well. And so just having some scouts coming out or having, pawns or grunts coming out that are faster and cheaper can help you gain some of that vision to hit these targets from a distance instead of having to walk up to them like you are right now. So like these starlights should basically never be this close to an enemy army. Same with these anti-air, like there's no reason for them to really be here. They can actually shoot all the way back here. They have that much range, so like, you're just missing out on utilizing that range basically. And starlights are very, if they have 3,000 health, like it's not, as little as the Mauser, but like it's really not that much. Yeah, now that you killed the jammer, and you guys have a radar coverage, so like, you are some stuff here. Oh, okay, so here is a radar, so you are getting some radar with your guys. Oh, anti-air is doing some work. Yeah, your starlights are getting very close. It's very aggressive for something that's, more of an artillery piece. But as it is, it looks like it's not really being punished, so, Catapult's doing some work, but yeah, otherwise this is a nice dive. Or, more or less catching them with their pants down. Lots of damage. Oh, there it goes. Okay, I was gonna say one more shot, and there it goes. It's a nice little push there. Okay, so meanwhile you have some units coming in on this side. Not sure if you had like a bunch of stuff, but yeah, at this OS, like doing things like running there and I don't know, just attacking is actually quite strong because people are just not ready for it, or they're a little bit slow on their eco. So this actually does quite well. And it looks like this is a pretty nice game from you overall. Yeah, with those attacks, it's like they do leave a lot of wrecks at times. So it's something to consider. But again, at this OS, like people, I don't know, they don't reclaim that metal or resurrect that, those units. So I suppose it's working for you. But yeah, overall pretty nice. You built up your eco pretty quickly. I would say get rid of these at some point. Basically after the fusion, you can get rid of these solars in this kind of situation. A lot of the times, if the wind is a bit stronger, or if you end up getting like a bunch of advanced solar collectors, you can reclaim these sooner to get that metal back and put it into whatever you need it to be. But yeah, pretty nice game from you. Alright, so the game looks like it's over. So let me recap a little bit. So your opener was good. I believe you got 3 mexes into 3 wins and in your lab. I think you stalled slightly on energy, so any chance you get to like notice that a little bit sooner would have helped you out to build some more wind a little sooner. Your nano felt a little bit early because you didn't quite have enough energy. Because yeah, once you have your nano done, it's sort of like it's going to start eating a lot of your energy and metal. So if you're going to get one of those, I would say just like, try to get a little bit more energy first. And then, oh yeah, your placement of your tower. Like this didn't need to be here so early because you still have Commander in base, but also it gets blocked by these 3 wind turbines. So just keep that in mind. Maybe place it on over here or maybe further down, like over on this area, um, just so it has a wider arc. Because otherwise, units can just like come over here and just harass you to death. Um, just like little things like that. Big thing though, when you get, don't get a T2 lab if somebody else already has a T2 lab. Buy a T2 builder first, upgrade your mexes, um, and then build a lab. In higher OS games where people don't overflow as much energy, um, it's going to be more important to like do things like upgrade your three mexes, grab a fusion, and then build your lab while you start upgrading your other mexes. That's more of a usual thing. Um, the other thing to consider is, if you really want to push it hard, um, before upgrading your mexes and stuff, you could get a console or a switcher and just start building hounds or fiends with those, instead of having the lab to crank out units. Just because having those early T2 units, they're not the strongest T2 units, but like running in there with some fiends or some hounds early on is can do a lot of damage against tier 1 units, especially hounds. Hounds, because they have a nice bit of range that outranges a lot of things for T1. So with that, you could actually just like sneak some in this way. And of course, like have some radar. You know, um, since your commander is up here, you could build some radar to like support them and have them, just see what's up there before they don't have like the best vision for how much range they have. Um, but yeah, you could run in there with those. Just another idea. But yeah, I mean, you didn't need to get a fusion for quite a while, and I was a little bit surprised by that. But yeah, then you needed that fusion, and you needed it like ASAP. So I'm glad you got that when you did. Although, like, ideally, try to anticipate that a little bit more. Because once you start upgrading a bunch of T2 mexes, it's like each T2 mex costs 20 energy per second. And if you also consider like how expensive on energy some of these T2 units are, like bulls and starlights are very expensive on energy, and so it's sort of um, basically you're just going to need it, so you might as well get it a little sooner, perhaps. Um, and then yeah, you could add on some T1 um, bots, just to start spamming so that you don't run into things like lacking vision when you're trying to assault stuff with your starlights and Mausers. Um, yeah, those are the big things. I mean, there were some things like it's good to be aggressive, but at the same time, um, and that aggression's going to work out a lot of the time at this level. But as you get higher up in OS, you might start running into issues because in a way you're just kind of gifting a lot of metal for your opponents. Um, so doing more things like running in there, but then once you realize there's too much stuff there, just immediately getting out and trying to minimize losses. Build up a bigger force, attack again with a bigger force, because otherwise it's just kind of a waste and providing them a lot of money. But yeah, overall nice game from you. I assume that if you keep playing like you did this game, if you're pretty consistent with it, your OS should start rising. You know, at 13, you should definitely be getting some OS like playing like this. Um, but yeah, moving forward, those are the things that I would fix up. Um, yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something, and good luck.